Over the past 4 years, I've put on 103 pounds completely natural. And there's a big debate between high volume training and high intensity training. I did high volume training for the first 3 years of lifting, and I've been doing high intensity for the past 18 months straight. In this video, I'm diving into both training styles, which one I'd recommend for your current stage, and some tweaks I'd make if I could do it all over again. High volume versus high intensity. Let's get into it. These are the questions that we're going to be answering in this video, or I'm going to be answering and you're going to be watching. Should you do both? How long should you do either for? Which has been better in my personal journey? How building muscle relates to TikTok and an iPhone charger somehow? Which one would I recommend for your current stage? A complete checklist of what you need before you start either training style. Lots of problem solving, lots of laughs because I'm funny, and lots of tears if you're emotional. Let's rock. Quick summary, my personal experience. So I trained high volume for the first 3 years in the gym. I went from 122 pounds to 189.2 in 3 years, natural, wouldn't BS you on this. I trained high intensity for the past 18 months straight from that point on, going from 189.2 to 224.6, cut down. Now I'm currently 214 pounds. And I tracked every workout since I started my high intensity training. So for the past 18 months straight, I have all of my lifts logged in this book or one that looks like it. This is my second book because I filled the first one. My handwriting's absolutely atrocious, so you're not going to be able to see anything. Barely legible even to me, but all of my lifts are tracked in this book. And here's my personal transformation from 122 to 189.2. I have pictures at pretty much every stage. So I was 16 on the left, 122 pounds. Then I turned 17 going on 18. And then I was 18 or 19, whatever years old at 189.2 on the right. So 77.2 pounds gained, not too bad in 3 years. And then when I switched to high intensity, things started to go kind of nuts. So I went from 189.2, bulked up to 2.5 bulks to 225 pounds. This 216.8 is the most recent picture that I have from my time at 225, but that was my weight at the time. Got a little bit fat, as you can see from picture 1 to 2, so probably ate too much, but honestly it was worth it because I cut down, got down to 210.8, and I'm 214 right now. So you can see my transformation from 16 to 20. Cool. So let's start with high volume training and everything about it. So to me, if you have less than 3 years of consistent training and diet habits under your belt, I'd say high volume is good. It's not only good, to me it's baller, as I wrote in my bolded letters there, as you can see. So when you're new to working out, you need to build the skill of working out. Yes, working out is a skill, believe it or not. And if you were to look at this like an athlete would from an athlete's perspective, it's just reps again and again and again and again, because you suck at them all. You're not good. You're not good at lifting. You have no idea how to lift hard, what the technique is, and so you need practice. So real quick for the athlete metaphor, I used to play competitive basketball before I got into lifting for a decade. And so when I got in, when I was just a little peewee, I sucked at everything. I was horrible at shooting. I couldn't dribble. I couldn't pass. My footwork was horrible. My basketball IQ was in the toilet. I had no IQ of the game whatsoever. But over time, I got better, and I got better because I consistently showed up again and again and again and just put up reps. And so when I say it's reps on reps on reps, it works the same way in the gym, because if I were to only show up and play basketball once a week and then go super hard, I wouldn't be getting any stimulation for the next 6-7 days. And so when you're new to working out, if you're going into the gym thinking, as a new lifter, I need to do a high intensity, Mike Mentzer, low volume approach, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You don't know anything about the gym. You don't know how to train hard. You've only seen other people do it. And so you need to build the skill of working out. You need to show up, do the reps again and again and again. Since your sets are not stimulating anything, if you're a new guy, you need the extra sets to make up for the lack of intensity that you're putting in. And I'm pretty sure I know what you're thinking. What about recovery? What about overtraining? What if I'm training too much, too hard, too often, and I'm getting sick, I'm getting weaker over time, and I'm losing gains? How do we combat that? Every new to intermediate lifter ever in the history of the world does not know what a true set to failure actually feels like. They don't know what it feels like in the moment or when they're sore the next day. They got no idea. And so they don't train very hard. I'm very confident in the way that I say this and think this. I'm confident in my belief because I was a new lifter myself not too long ago. And my clients here at the Incredible Bulk are also mostly new. So when I visit them, which is what I do, that's one of the things I do, when I visit them to train, they or my younger self don't train that hard. And they think they do. They believe that they're doing it in their own eyes, and they finish a set and they get up and they're like, that was a really hard set. But I'm just standing there like, not really. So, and that's okay. It's totally fine. But less sets of not that high intensity is the worst of both worlds. So if you're diving into a low volume approach as soon as you start lifting because you saw Mike Mentor talk about it, whatever, that's awesome. I'm not saying there's anything bad about that. But if you're new to lifting and you don't necessarily actually understand the feeling of lifting hard today and the next day, less sets of the intensity that you're currently doing, which is not enough, is getting you literally both of the crappy ends of the stick. Didn't want to swear. But as a new lifter becomes more and more experienced, they get better at training. And so their sets become much more stimulative, meaning they can do less sets and get the same amount of stimulation for muscle growth than a new guy could with more sets. But since they're doing the same high volume, now with better intensity that they're more experienced, they don't recover. And so this is where you run into recovery problems. But something has to go, because you can't do 50 billion sets and then do all of them to failure, train super hard. Something's got to go. And it's never intensity. You never want to trade away more of what drives muscle growth, the intensity, for more crappy sets that aren't as hard. So a more experienced and intense lifter lowers the volume that they do per workout, and this naturally takes them from a high volume to a high intensity training style. I thought I wrote H.I.T there for a second. It's not a stark change. It's not a quick flip 180 where high volume one day and then high intensity the next, complete switch. It typically happens over a period of time because you'll notice over the course of a couple days, a few weeks, usually a few months, that you're getting weaker over time. And then that's when you make the switch. So don't worry about having to make a crazy change from one day to the next and completely adapt to a new training style. It's typically a more slow, gradual, natural process. Here's an analogy that I think will drive this home. So me, George Tressiter, I am very new to making videos. This is not a skit. I'm actually new to making content. If my goal is to deliver as much value to you watching this video as humanly possible. I want you to learn everything about this and get better results faster than I ever did. If that is my goal, to deliver as much value to you, would I upload as many high value videos as I can consistently and get better production quality over time? Meaning I get better camera, better mics, studio, maybe a team one day? Or would I not make as many videos, but edit the heck out of them and make sure they're really pretty? If you've been watching this video, it would be the first option. That's exactly what I would do, and that's what I'm doing right now. You learn by doing, and doing it a lot. So the reason I'm an advocate of doing a lot of reps when you start is because I'll use the video example. So if you look at my channel, you can see like the first short videos that I've ever uploaded. I think around the third or fourth one, they became super edited. I had all these animations, all these graphics that showed up, and I suck at editing. I'm literally like the worst editor of all time. And so it took me 14 hours to make that, 45-second video. If I were to upload not as many videos, but upload them like that, I would spend all of my time trying to essentially put lipstick on a pig, because I'm not a great editor yet. I'm trying to upload as high quality videos as I possibly can without having any context on what a high quality video looks like. And so if I upload it and it misses and it doesn't reach anybody, I now have zero reinforcement from myself or other people through likes, comments, shares, subscribers, saves. I don't have any reinforcement from anybody else if that was a good video or not. And so if I upload as many videos as I possibly can, a little bit less editing, I have my captions, I talk to the camera like this, solving problems, over time, more people are going to see those videos. And so over time, I'm going to get reinforced for the videos that I create. And over time, they're going to get better. So if you think that you can make 10 videos and make those 10 videos better than the guy who makes 1,000 videos, which is what I plan to do, because if you look at my channel, I've only uploaded, like 30-ish videos right now. Give me 500, give me 1,000 more. We'll see how much better I get. But for right now, I'm uploading these videos and they're not super high production quality. It's just me talking to a camera, solving these problems that I faced. And over time, The idea is that I get better at the skill, so then I have more context on what a good video looks like, then my quantity turns to more quality over time, and then I can pipe down on the quantity and just focus on quality. By the way, I think these videos are still super baller. So that's just my opinion, but yeah, that's a good analogy to answer that question. So to me, high volume training gets you better at working out. Before we get into the high intensity side of things, this is just a quick checklist of what we covered. So if you're less than 3 years of consistent training and dieting, I would recommend high volume. If you're new, you need to build the skill of working out. Sets are like practice, you're not advanced. So you need to do more sets to get good and get advanced. You probably also have an ego if you're a new lifter. And over time, your sets get more intense and your ego dies because you realize you're not lifting for other people, you're lifting for yourself. That's when I'd say you cut back on volume, and also the TikTok analogy. So now high intensity. If you've been training for longer and you have good results to show for it with high volume, for example, my transformation, I gained 77.2 pounds before I ever stepped foot in high intensity. I've been doing high volume for a minute, something like that. High intensity for me has been the way to go since that point. And since you're good at working out, or you're at least better than bad, you can connect with the targeted muscle way better than a newbie lifter ever could. It would only make sense that the harder you train, the less you should train. In the same way, I'm sitting in a grandma wooden chair currently. If I get up from this wooden chair and I sprint 40 yards, I'll be fine if I stretch first. But I can't sprint 40 miles. The longer the duration of what you're doing, the lower the intensity has to be. That's why you don't see cross-country runners just sprinting however many miles they're running, right? You don't sprint a marathon. It doesn't make any sense. You'll die, literally. The goal is not to do an endless amount of exercise. If that was the case, the people ahead of you, the jacked guys, the super strong, the world level guys would be doing just that. But they're not. That means there is a limit to how much exercise you can personally handle. The goal is actually to build muscle. I know it sounds crazy, right? So you do the bare minimum in terms of volume, and if you feel you need more, add more. If you start a training program, so you start a training split, you start your regular workout split with 3 hard sets per exercise, and you see no crazy progress right away, you won't know whether to go up to 4 sets or down to 2. So now you're playing a guessing game. It makes sense for me personally to start my program and everybody else's program that I coach and consult to start with 1 working set per exercise. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but over time, if you feel you need more, add more sets. So if you want to start a high intensity approach, here is the checklist that I was talking about that you should nail down. This is a checklist of what you should have dialed in completely before you begin any high intensity training. And it's only 4 things. It's pretty simple. Number 1, you are not ego lifting. High intensity does not mean high weight. If you're having to use excessive momentum to launch the weight up to complete your reps and you can't actually handle the weight and lift it normally, high intensity training is not for you. This is all about control. We want to minimize or even not have any momentum whatsoever during our exercises. And so a little bit of body English is okay at the end. Like it's okay if you gotta sway a little bit to complete the rep, that's cool. I'm saying if you're having to like thrust the weight, if you're doing curls, for example, if I'm having to lean back and like hump the weight with my crotch to get the barbell up, then this is not for you. So that dramatically increases your chances of injury. And even though it might lead to the same progress in terms of building muscle, the relative risk to injury increases tremendously. And so by comparison, it's not even worth it at all. Number 2, you can perform all of your reps with a full range of motion. So just like ego lifting, if you're having to cut the range of motion, if you're only doing partial reps because you know that the weight is too heavy for you to handle, that you can't actually go all the way down or all the way up, that's a problem. Again, you're putting your joints, your tendons, your ligaments, any connective tissue in a very dangerous spot to get injured, a very uncomfortable spot, because you're not treating it with the full range of motion. If you're having to cut any of that short, the weight's too heavy for you, and you, sir or madam, or whatever you are, you have an ego, and you need to leave that at the gym door and not bring it into the facility, because it's only gonna hurt you. And it might not hurt you today, but it's gonna get you soon. Number 3, you track your lifts. There's not many things that I think everybody should do, but if you are doing high intensity training, this is probably mandatory. So again, there's zero way, I can't even read this, but so I have my lifts tracked right here, and you can see there is writing every single time. And so when I track these lifts, when I track my workouts, I write down the exercises that I'm doing, how many reps I got of each exercise in a set, how many sets I did of each exercise. And if you're doing high intensity, it's typically 1 or 2 working sets per exercise. Always start at 1, in my opinion. So I have the exercises that I do, the reps that I got, the amount of sets I did, and the amount of weight that I used. And so the cool thing about this is that every single time I go work out, I now have a benchmark, a reference point from the last workout. So if I did a back and biceps workout, for example, I can refer back to the last back and bicep workout and see how many reps I did, how many sets with how much weight. And my goal every single time when I go to the gym is to look at this, say, okay, last week I got 8 reps with 100 pounds on my barbell curl. This week I want to get 9. And if I want to add more weight, then I will add 10% of the weight onto the current total. So if I got 8 reps with 100-pound barbell curl, I want to get maybe 7 or 8 reps with 110 pounds on the barbell curl. And so every week I get stronger essentially. So I use the last workout as a reference point for the current workout, and you get stronger every workout. If you're getting stronger every workout, the likelihood you're building muscle is pretty high. If you're getting weaker every workout, if you're tracking your lifts and you're getting weaker, the chance that you are building a great physique is a big fat 0. So this is not necessary for muscle growth or strength gains or really anything. But if you want to see exactly how you're progressing, and to me, the more variables you track, the more metrics that you look at, and the more things you have under your control, under your eye, the more metrics you track, the more ways you can win. So I'd give this a shot, 100%. There's not, like I said, there's not many things that I would recommend and say this is a must in somebody's life because everyone's life is different. This is one of the few. And finally, you can restrain yourself from training more. I have another fun analogy for you. So this is an iPhone charger, and this is my iPhone. When you go to the gym, you are stimulating muscle growth. You are not growing during the workout. You grow when you rest. You grow in between. And so think of going to the gym, performing your workout, doing all your sets, whatever. Think of it plugging it in. Think of it like plugging in the charger to your phone. Now the phone is currently charging. If I remove the charger, phone stops charging. And so if you're constantly going to the gym, phone's never going to charge, right? If I keep pulling out the plug and putting it back in, because I like pulling out the plug and putting it back in for some reason, that phone is never going to charge, or it's going to take a hell of a lot longer than if I just put it in and I wait. And I leave the phone and I don't touch it. And if I use the phone while the phone's charging, it's going to charge a lot slower. So when you go to the gym, that's fine. Now leave it in. Don't touch it. You don't have to go work out 6, 7, 8, a million times a week. Plug the charger in, let the charger sit. So the analogy that I'm referencing to is sleep. If you are going to the gym many times throughout the week, that is okay, but make sure that you are recovering in between your sessions. If you are just plugging in the phone, plugging it back out, plugging in the phone, plugging it back out, all of the time, you are never giving your body a chance to just sit and, right? It doesn't make any sense. You're not gonna constantly unplug and plug the phone every 5 seconds. So when you train, give yourself time off. I typically rest between 24 to 48 hours, sometimes 72 hours between every training session. So I rarely train 2 days in a row. Sometimes I will, but typically it's 48 to 72 hours for me in between every training session. So I go and work out, then I rest for 2 days. I still do cardio on those days because I want to, keep my heart healthy and stay alive. I rest for 2 days and then I go train again. So the whole name of the game in high intensity is train, get in, warm up, work really hard for a little bit, get out, go home and rest, and do it again a couple days later. If you can dial in those 4 things and master that checklist, you have experience and you've got decent results with high volume, and you're ready to switch your training style, I would give high intensity a shot. So what would I change about this if I could restart? Because high intensity seems like heaven. It seems like the perfect thing. You don't have to train that much. You don't have to train that often. And you can barely go to the gym and get crazy good results. It seems perfect. What would I change? One thing, the high intensity people, the Mike Mentzer cult online, they're all about low volume, which I agree with. But they also believe that low volume means low frequency. And that just ain't true. That's not true at all. Low volume means you're not doing many sets or exercise in a given workout. Low frequency means that you're not doing many sets or workouts throughout a given time period. Very different things. And so smaller muscle groups like the side delts, the biceps, the calves, and the forearms, these can be trained multiple times in a training split, or if you're watching this, your training split is probably a week long, so they can be trained multiple times throughout the week. But since these recover quickly and they can bounce back, that means they can be hit again and again and again and again. Larger muscle groups like your back, your chest, and your quads and hamstrings, I just have a picture of my legs here, these take longer to recover. In most cases, 4 or 5 days or even longer. In my case, it's typically 5 to 6 days before that muscle stops feeling sore. And when it stops feeling sore, that's typically when I hit it again. So I typically train my back, my chest, and my quads about once every 8 days. I'd still keep low volume per workout. This is where I would make the change. So I'm not doing a ton of sets for muscle groups in a given workout. I'd still be doing 1 to 2 max per exercise. As the amount of sets you need to stimulate actual muscle growth, it's not that many. You can typically get a good stimulus going to do 1 or 2 working sets per exercise and be totally fine. You don't need to do 5 hard sets of bench and then 5 hard sets of flies and then, a billion curls before you go and leave the gym. But when that muscle recovers, you hit it again, like I said. TLDR, train as hard and as much as you can recover from. Like I said, you want to push as hard as you possibly can. And as soon as that muscle is ready to be hit again, meaning it doesn't feel super sore, it doesn't feel weak, you think you're good to go, it's like you're revitalized, you're ready to go in for another session, train that muscle group again. Now, this is going to be a different amount of days for every single person watching this. It's going to be very different for you than it is for me probably. But oftentimes, I'm going to go back, side delts, biceps, calves, forearms, like you can hit a bunch of lateral raises, you can do a bunch of bicep exercises, calf raises, forearm curls. You can do all this stuff multiple times in a week and not have to stress about it. But I wouldn't start with a bunch of sets throughout a given workout because you want to make sure you're getting stronger with just 1 set at a time. And then if you feel you need more, train those muscle groups another day in the week. And if you feel you still need more, then add a set. So adding a set is like option 2 or 3. It's like plan Z. People focus on optimal, which means getting the best bang for your buck. And so they're trying to perfect all the little details. If you're looking at this like a painting, like a canvas, they're always worried about the small little details in the corner. They're worried about the little bit of rocks or a little bit of water streak in the back or the sky, but they forget the big freaking Mona Lisa right in the middle of the painting. And so these guys are worried about getting the most bang for their buck, but they forget maximal, which is just getting the most bucks. Why try to maximize the corner of such a small bubble when you can just get more bubbles? Concluding this video, train hard or train a lot. Don't do both. I'm not going to get up from this chair, like I said, and run 40 miles. But if I get up from this chair and stretch, I can probably run 40 yards and be a-okay. If you're new to lifting, if you're new to working out, if you're under, I'd say 2 to 3 years for most people, try high volume first. And it might not be the answer. High intensity might be the answer from day one, but try high volume, give it a shot since you don't really know how to train. And then over time, the quality of your sets is only going to get better. That's when I'd say you transition. If you're old and wise like me, old and wise at 20 years old, high intensity, low volume is probably the way to go. It's been the way to go for me. I put on, like 35 pounds, something like that, 35 pounds in a year and a half, and I got leaner. So pretty cool. Also ensure that you've completed the checklist before starting. So the checklist for the high volume, what you should have nailed down, what we covered in that section, and the checklist, the 4 things that we need to nail before we get into high intensity. So you're not ego lifting, you're not cutting your range of motion, you're tracking your lifts, and you can restrain yourself from training more. I'm always going to keep it real with you. I don't care what you do at all. If you're getting good results, then I'm super happy for you. This is just what worked for me personally and what works for my clients now. So whatever you choose to do, train hard, train safe, eat your meals, and have fun. Guys, I've been George Tressiter. I still am George Tressiter, founder of The Incredible Bulk, trying to help skinny guys get bigger, get more jacked, get more confident, not be sad like I was before. And I made a lot of mistakes during this 4-year process. And my goal with the incredible bulk, my goal as a human being is to prevent at least one of you from making those same mistakes so you can get better results faster than I ever did. So if you watch the end of this video, I greatly, greatly appreciate you more than you ever know. And yeah, I'm just trying to help as many people as I can, people like me that are struggling, trying to put on size, trying to get bigger, trying to be more confident and better men overall. So thank you for watching this video. I truly do appreciate your time, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace. Bye.